Very often they are either resisting marketing because in their view, uh, and this is often a challenge for introverts, particularly, that there's a myth around marketing that it's shouty, that it's spammy, that it's all about being outward all the time and being always on. And marketing isn't about that. It's about, for me, it's about connection and conversation and building relationships. Um, and so my clients, when they first come to me, are often very busy doing lots of marketing stuff out there, but it's not connected, it's not joined up, and they haven't kind of taken that step back to think, who am I helping? What do they need? How am I helping them? And why am I different? Why would they come to me as opposed to the gazillions of other people that do the thing I do?
Hello, and welcome to episode 262 of the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall, and the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts, along with strategies for success. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we'll air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform. Leave a review or a rating. That would mean a lot to me and also help others find the show. Tell a friend about the podcast and help get the word out there that introversion is a beautiful thing. Kaye King has spent over 30 years in marketing agencies, working with brands like Kenco, Hilton, and Macmillan. But it was after she set up her consultancy business in 2016 that Kaye found her real passion to make marketing feel less icky and more human for people doing meaningful work. Away from the agency world, Kaye discovered a network of solo business owners who were either wasting time and energy on marketing that didn't work, or they were avoiding it altogether because it felt pushy or fake. Kaye strongly believes that marketing doesn't have to be salesy or spammy to be effective. And it's never about selling your stuff. It's about guiding people towards the right solution for them. Kaye helps her clients discover their own unique voice and develop a marketing approach that feels doable, aligned with their values, and more importantly, gets results. All right. Well, welcome to the Quiet and Strong podcast, Kaye. Kaye, it's so good to have you on today.
Thank you for having me, David. It's good to be here.
We're going to get into the work that you do, especially your approach to marketing that may appeal to many introverts. And we're excited about that. And we were just talking about you happen to be an extrovert,
Hmm.
but you understand the needs of introverts, which is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm learning since you and I connected, I've been learning more and more about the differences and the needs and understanding it. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be here and to learn with you.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are with the work you're doing.
So I've worked in marketing agencies for about 35 years. And marketing agency life is good. It's fun. It's busy. It's vibrant. I learned a lot. I learned with some incredibly talented people, and I loved it. And I worked with some big global and national clients. But it's also a relentless business, constant deadlines, constant pressure to bring in more income, to grow the clients. And I'd had enough. So I left that world in 2016 and started working with small and medium-sized businesses as a marketing consultant. And that was okay, but I didn't love it. It was kind of obviously those clients had much smaller budgets than I was used to working with. They needed, they didn't have the teams to be able to implement big, exciting projects. And I actually realized that I missed the training and development side of my own old role. What I loved most was helping people reach their full potential. So when a new graduate came into the company and got promoted a couple of times and then went off to an amazing new job, I was delighted by that. And so I would sometimes sit in board meetings and everyone around me would be going, "Oh no, Lucy's leaving. It's a disaster." And I'd be going, "Yes, brilliant. I'm so pleased for her. She's off and she's flying." And I missed that. And I kept meeting in networking. I met a lot of small solo business owners who were trying to do their own marketing and finding it really difficult and really stressful and overwhelming. And I thought, hmm, actually, maybe I can help them and kind of combine my 35 years experience with my love of training and development. So in 2019, that's what I started to do. So now I'm a marketing mentor.
Okay. And tell me about, who are the typical clients that you serve?
So I work with people who are really driven and motivated and passionate about helping other people. So coaches, therapists, trainers, consultants, people who want to improve the lives or the health or the relationships or the businesses of their clients. And that's what motivates them first and foremost. And I love that because by helping my clients with their marketing, I can help their clients get the help they need because they get found more easily. So, yeah, it's a nice, joyous little circle of people helping other people.
Sounds good. And then what are some of the common challenges that your clients bring to you?
Very often they are either resisting marketing because, in their view, and this is often a challenge for introverts, particularly, that there's a myth around marketing that it's shouty, that it's spammy, that it's all about being outward all the time and being always on. And marketing isn't about that. It's about, for me, it's about connection and conversation and building relationships. And so my clients, when they first come to me, are often very busy doing lots of marketing stuff out there, but it's not connected, it's not joined up, and they haven't kind of taken that step back to think, who am I helping? What do they need? How am I helping them? And why am I different? Why would they come to me as opposed to the gazillions of other people that do the thing I do?
Right. And of course, Kay, on this show, we bust myths about introversion.
Yeah.
Is there a myth about introverts in marketing that you want to bust today?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a myth that introverts don't do marketing or can't do marketing because because it feels like you have to have the spotlight on you all the time. You have to be out there all the time. And and that's not true. It's about being yourself and finding your own route to attracting the right people for you. And you can do that without being constantly visible and constantly on and constantly shouting about your stuff, because that actually isn't that effective anyway.
How can you help introverts that are not comfortable with promoting themselves become more comfortable?
The first step I take a client through when we first start working together is to help them see marketing differently. And whether they're introverts or extroverts, then as an introvert, they might be thinking, I feel really uncomfortable with this. I don't want to be promoting myself. And I help them reframe it. I help them see that marketing actually is about guiding their ideal clients towards the right solution for them. And that might not be to work with them, that might be to work with someone else. And that's okay. But if when they start to see it as actually just helping someone along a pathway to exploring solutions, finding the right solution for whatever their challenge or problem is, then it feels easier. It feels less onerous. It's not doing marketing, it's connecting people with the right solutions.
Yeah, and of course, we also talk about strengths on this show.
Mhm.
What are strengths that introverts bring to marketing?
I loved this question. I think introverts, you talked about it in your podcast episode on January the 2nd about how introverts are very reflective. Often their strengths are that they kind of observe and they stay back a little bit and see and hear and listen to what's going on around them. And that's a huge strength when it comes to marketing because you are listening particularly to your potential clients, your audience, and it's really important when it comes to marketing to really get under the skin of what your clients are thinking, what they're feeling, what they're doing, and how they're describing their problems and their challenges. And not only what they're saying, but the words and phrases that they're using, because then your marketing messages can reflect that back to them and they're more likely to connect with it. So, as an introvert, that observation strength and kind of reflection on what's going on around you is really valuable. Whereas an extrovert might go, I just want to get on with doing marketing. I just need to get out there. And actually, we all need to pause and slow down and think before we put stuff out there so that it's relevant and working.
Yeah. How can I think I even saw maybe it was on your LinkedIn profile that you don't want it to feel icky, right?
Yeah.
Authentic. How can what's some practical ways that introverts can feel authentic in their marketing?
I think the most important thing is to just be yourself. Often people come to me and they, particularly if they are working in professional services or something, and they, oh, well, I have to be formal, I have to be this kind of person. And actually, you don't. It's really important to just be you. And that's important for two reasons. One is because by being yourself, you will attract people that are more likely to connect with you. People that are, we all want to work with people who are a bit like us in lots of ways. And also, if you're trying to be someone different in your marketing, when someone does actually book a call with you or start to work with you, there's going to be a disconnect there because they'll be coming into the relationship thinking you're this, and then they'll discover that actually you're a different kind of person and they're going to feel let down. The relationship won't work. The work you're doing together won't be effective. So I'd say be yourself. You don't have to try and be something different in your marketing. And I would also say you don't have to be everywhere. Just choose one, maybe two platforms, channels that feel right for you, where you feel comfortable, and focus on building those relationships and connections. The clients I work with don't need hundreds and hundreds of leads every week. They don't need hundreds of clients. They need two or three good clients to work with each month or on a consistent basis. So you don't need massive, noisy, shouty marketing to get that.
Yeah, I love that. And I can relate because there was a time in my life where I didn't understand my introversion and I wanted to be somebody else. I tried to be somebody else and it doesn't work. It's very
No.
draining to try that.
Mm.
And also
Mm.
it's just you're not acting authentically. And I'll tell you, when you are acting authentically, you can be a lot more successful. And so I've
Yeah,
experienced that myself, so I love that.
yeah. Yeah. And that point about it feeling draining is really important because it's exhausting, isn't it? Trying to be someone else all the time.
Yeah, it sure is. And then, so you were talking about, we can be on one or two platforms.
Mhm.
What are some social media strategies that you have for your clients?
Encourage my clients to focus on connection and conversation when it comes to their social media rather than broadcasting all the time because I don't talk about algorithms and avatars and other things beginning with A. I talk about being human and having human connection. It doesn't matter what the algorithms are doing because they're always going to change. They're always going to be doing different things and picking up on different things, and we're never going to be able to keep up with them. So if we focus on sharing information that's helpful for our audience and building relationships through direct messages, through commenting and supporting other people's content where we can add value, that is far more effective and far less draining than keeping thinking I've got to create all of this new content all of the time.
Yeah, and I love that you said we generally aren't going to need hundreds of new customers.
No.
How do we find the right customers? And I think in your words, that would bring us joy.
Yeah, I often get asked that question. I often get asked, how do I find my perfect clients? And my answer always is that if we are authentic, if we are being ourselves, and if we are sharing content that we know that is helpful, and if we are very, very clear who we help, how we help them, and why we're different, they will be drawn to us. So, of course, you need to know that if my ideal client was an 18-year-old, I wouldn't be on LinkedIn. I'd be on TikTok. But my ideal clients aren't on TikTok. So I don't need to be on TikTok. I wouldn't want to be. I don't get it. Um, so I've lost my thread. So yes, being yourself, being very clear who you help, how you help, why you're different, and being consistent in in your message. And that doesn't mean you have to be there every day. It just means don't keep chopping and changing what you're saying and how you're saying it. And the right people will be drawn into your world. That I believe. So
Yeah, consistency is definitely important. How do how do we stay consistent without getting burned out?
by finding a rhythm that works for you, I in my online community, the Marketing Sanctuary, we talk a lot about your marketing rhythm. And for some people, that might mean posting on social media once a week and sending an email once a fortnight. For other people, that might mean being on social media 3 times a week and emailing a couple of times a week to their list. For other people, it might just be actually, I'm I'll be visible on my social media through commenting or connecting with people, and I will only share content when I feel that I've got something to say. And that's okay too, because there's no point being on there and just putting stuff out there just because you feel like you should fill a gap. So, from an introvert's point of view, it's finding a rhythm that works for you. And if you're having days where you really feel you need to go inwards and step back from it all for a little while, for a few days, for a couple of weeks, then do that because that's okay. The sky isn't going to fall in just because you haven't appeared on LinkedIn on a Tuesday just for once a week or a couple of weeks. You'll come back and people will see you come back.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because so often I've heard, you just have to post something every day or multiple times a day and be on all the platforms. And it's
No,
definitely that
no.
kind of thinking can lead to burnout.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it in my own clients, like people who've been there before they work with me because they've been trying to spin all the plates and do all of the things and not just being on multiple social media platforms, but thinking they have to do speaking, they have to do blog writing, they have to get on top of their SEO, they have to do all of these things that can feel really noisy and overwhelming. And I always work with my clients just to focus on one or two marketing projects at any one time. That might be to create a new lead magnet, a new giveaway that they'd like to put on their website, and to be more intentional about their network building on LinkedIn, for example, rather than thinking, I want to do all of these 27 things because I feel like I should. If you try and do all of those 27 things all at once, you won't do any of them anyway.
Yeah, even you saying 27 just kind of,
Yeah.
I got a little
Well, I saw
stressed
your
there.
face.
I'm like, 27. So you mentioned having a lead magnet. What's the power of email? Having a list and sending to your list.
Yeah. Email marketing for introverts, I think, is great because you are building a rapport with those people who've chosen to be in your world. And it's about continuing the conversation, continuing building the relationship. And I would always say, if you have an email list, it doesn't matter if it has 50 people on it, 100 people on it, 500 people. Those people want to be in your world. They've chosen to be in your world and to hear what you've got to say. So enjoy it. Share what's going on for you and invite invite responses because that is always going to help build the conversation rather than just constantly sending stuff out kind of without leaving a door open for that to come back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And you're also saying that there's not a particular formula. You have to figure out what works for you. Like some people might post something every 2 weeks. Some people might do
Mhm.
twice a week. You just
Yeah,
have to how do we figure out what's right for us?
I think very often it's what feels doable. So when I first start working with a client, we'll have a conversation about that. What feels doable for you? Does sending a weekly email feel too much? If it does, how does fortnightly feel? Does that feel okay? And maybe they'll send an email to their list fortnightly and get into a rhythm of creating those emails and start getting more and more ideas and find actually they can go to weekly. And as introverts, as you've said, they're thinking a lot, they're creating a lot, they're not short of ideas. What's often the challenge for an introvert is what to do with them, how to kind of channel those ideas into something useful. So part of my work with my clients is to listen to what they're saying because very often they'll just be chatting about something and I'll say, that's really great information, really great insight, and really helpful for your audience. You could pop that in a little email. And they go, oh, could I? Because it's just come out as an idea or a thought that they've had. So, and I would say emails, you do not have to create a fancy email newsletter thing with pictures and banners and sections and no, just a text email that's a couple of paragraphs that says, you might find this helpful today. Have a nice week. Job done.
Yeah, something that provides value to your
Hmm.
email list.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that
yeah,
because there is a lot of pressure to have that perfect email
mhm,
newsletter.
yeah, yeah. And it can stop people doing anything. when you're so busy trying to decide what your email template might look like, it stops you sharing valuable information.
Yeah. So here we are on this podcast. I love podcasting. What
Me
are your
too.
thoughts? Like, why is podcasting or being a podcast host or guest, why is that a powerful marketing tool for introverts?
I think because it's a one-to-one conversation. There are lots of people listening, but you are just having a conversation with someone who is asking questions, giving you time to think and to speak. And I think being a podcast guest or a host, there's something quite intimate about podcasting. People are listening, you're going right into their ears. And when you listen to a podcast, it feels like that person is just talking to you. And that's a great way to build a connection. So, yeah, if someone feels comfortable doing that, I would encourage them to find the right podcasts for them and to connect with the right people and invite themselves on.
Yeah. And again, lots of myths out there. You described it well that, introverts, we do like the one-on-one conversations. We do like conversations. Some people say we don't like people, which is not true.
Yeah, no.
But we also like to be prepared. And
Mm.
so it's not a script, but I did send you questions ahead of time just so
Hmm.
we could both here's what we want to talk about. And for those that are interested in being on podcasts, you're going to see all kinds of things. You're going to
Yes.
get questions in advance, maybe not questions, but topics, maybe nothing. So,
Yeah.
but you have to, as an introvert, you have to do at least your own preparation,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
you listen to an episode of mine,
Mm.
which, there's preparation that you could do to be very successful at being a podcast guest.
Yeah, and I would say actually I wouldn't suggest that anybody approaches anyone who hosts a podcast about being a guest if they haven't listened to an episode, if they don't know anything about it. That's just arrogant and rude. And you're it's not your show, it's someone else's show, and it's a privilege to be part of it and to consider what you can share that's of value for that person's audience. So, and even though I'm an extrovert, I would much rather have some structure or some idea of what we're going to be talking about, because otherwise I can't be helpful for the people that are listening. So, yeah, I'm happy to have a few questions or a few topics beforehand. I don't like it if I'm on a and there's no preparation at all. It feels a bit woolly and kind of not very helpful for anybody, for the people listening. But there you go.
Yeah. I was laughing a little bit when you said that you should listen to an episode. I do get a lot of pitches, and a lot of times there's no mention of introversion at all, which
Mm,
sometimes I do have those episodes where we, talk about something regarding being successful in some way, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with introversion, extroversion. But it's more powerful when I get those pitches when they have listened to an episode, when
mm,
they do understand what value they can bring. And so that's the advice if you're listening and you want to be on a podcast, definitely be look for ones that are really that that are going to deliver to the audience that you want
mm.
to and do your research and don't just send a bunch of pitches out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen all sorts, David.
I have, and and it can make it a lot of work when as the host you're trying to see, okay, what
Mm,
do they have a good message they want to bring, and if it's not clear,
mm.
those pitches are probably going to be looked at later, but if it's clear that they have value to bring to the show, I'm going to look at those first, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to determine if this is a good fit or not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And at the end of the day, it's about You're hosting a podcast to provide value for your audience, and I don't want to be talking to an audience who isn't going to get value from what I have to say and what work I do. So, because that's just a waste of everybody's time and energy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm just telling the introverts out there that, you can be amazing at being a guest or host. And
Yeah.
you just have to understand. So like preparation is key for me. And also I block off time.
Mm,
So I make sure I have an hour before I
mm,
record and an hour after. I'm loving this conversation, Kay. It's not draining me, but I may need a break after. So
yeah.
I in my calendar, I'm not doing anything or I don't have anything planned for the next
Mhm,
hour. So that could be a good way.
mm, mm,
Okay, so we talked just about podcasting, email lists, social media.
yeah.
What are some other good strategies for marketing?
Introverts, you might be surprised to hear me say that networking can be helpful. You have to find the right group. Often people come to me, and networking is marketing as well. Sometimes people say to me, "Oh, I don't do any marketing." And then they reel off three different networking groups they belong to. And I'm like, that is marketing. But for introverts, networking can be very draining. And and at the same time, that doesn't mean it's something that should be kind of completely dismissed. If you find the right group, the right community that is open and accepting, and that I belong to a women's networking group, and it's a small group. We meet once a month over lunch, and there are usually between 8 and 12 of us. Perfect. And as an introvert, going to something like that, as you say, you would prepare to have clear time afterwards, to have some downtime when you get home, a quiet start to the day before you get there. So in networking again is about developing those one-on-one relationships, one-on-one conversations, and can be can be quite beneficial for somebody who is introverted.
Yeah, because we do want to build those relationships.
Mm,
And I like how you said it's finding the right place for you
mm,
to network, you
yeah,
know. Just thinking about the big traditional event. I'm not going to do that well bouncing
no,
from person to person. That's not going to be effective for me. It's going to be very
no.
draining, but I can find effective ways. One of the ways I network is this, I get to meet great people
Mm,
like yourself and build my network through podcasting, which is amazing. But we got to find what works and how you can build relationships. And
mm.
that's where success comes from is having great relationships and partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think networking, as you say, doesn't have to be about formal events and belonging to something. It can be connecting with people through direct messaging on social media, arranging a virtual coffee, or even a real life cuppa if you're in the same area. And I've always joked that I will only network with people I like, because why wouldn't you? Why would you spend your time networking with people you don't want to spend time with? So it's finding your community and a bunch of people that feel like you, I think, is what the most important thing is, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And sometimes people don't like to hear that, but it is true.
Mm,
We do like to be with people with similar interests and th experiences and you know, definitely that we're working towards some of the same things.
yeah, yeah, it's in our DNA. We are meant to be connected with people like us. It's a survival instinct to kind of gather with the same kinds of people. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can't fight that.
And again, whether it's clients or building your network, it's finding the right clients, finding the
Mm,
right people to have in your network that, you really can work with and learn and grow with and
yeah,
all that good stuff.
yeah, yeah. it's joyful when it happens, when it works. That's the thing about clients that bring you joy. It's those clients that you're talking to them and you look forward to working with them that make you want to kind of jump out of bed in the morning. So very often people end up working with people just because they feel they should, and that's draining as well. That's exhausting and it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, and I know I've experienced this when you are working in with people or on things that bring you joy, it doesn't feel like work anymore.
No.
And life is too short to spend,
Mm.
and we're always gonna do things that we don't like. But
Yeah.
if we can spend the majority of our time being, with clients or colleagues that we really enjoy, that's the goal. There's always going to be things in any job or any career, there's always going to be
Yeah.
something we don't like. But if we could do the majority and really find those people that bring us joy, that's the key.
Yeah. Exactly that. And that comes from just maybe having someone to help you explore what is the right thing for you. I think often my clients, nobody's ever asked them before, what 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 would feel right for you? What do you want to be doing in your marketing? They've always been told, do this, do this, do that 4 times a week, do that once a month, do that every day. And it's like, what if that all feels a bit too much? What do I do then? So, yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, and that's definitely the sign of good coaching is when you're drawing out from them what they want and not
Mhm.
telling them something that, and I don't, you probably had this experience of been given advice that would never work for you. I have,
Mm, yeah, yeah.
and it's like, no, that's not gonna work for me.
Mm. No, exactly. And I think you see people selling kind of systems and programs that promise people ridiculous success in marketing if only you invest in this system, this thing. And yeah, it draws people in and makes people spend often a very large amount of money on something that is never going to work, and particularly isn't necessary even if, as we said at the beginning, you only need 2 or 3 clients a month to work with. You don't need all of that funnel stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any other marketing strategies that you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about?
I don't. Speaking for me, I find similar to being a podcast guest, I suppose, in terms of sharing. I really, really enjoy speaking at events, at networking groups, running workshops, either online or in person. That for me is energizing and it helps people get a taste of what it's like to work with me. I have a client who is very much an introvert and she does occasionally run online workshops and she's really good at them and they help her bring people into her world, but she only can do that a couple of times a year because it takes a lot out of her. But she does it and she quite likes it when she's doing it. And then she needs a good couple of days not doing anything very much at all.
Yeah,
But
and
that's
that's
okay. That's okay. I'm not going to tell her that she has to run that workshop every month because she'll completely burn out.
yeah, and I love giving workshops. Again, comes
Mm,
back to being prepared. I'm not I can definitely do more than a couple of years. So we're all different. So
mm,
I need some downtime, but not a lot.
yeah.
And speaking is just like we were talking about being a podcast guest or a
Mm,
host.
mm,
It's one to many, and it can be a very comfortable way for introverts to share their message.
yeah.
Again, preparation is key and
Mm,
just managing your energy. But, definitely people will say, well, you can't be a good speaker if you're an introvert. And I'm like, no, that's not true.
mm,
I love speaking. I love doing workshops. Like, I love doing this show. the whole point of all of this is what works for you, you know,
Mm,
whether you're an introvert or extrovert, where's your strengths? How are you going to bring that in to find the right clients? What are your needs? You know, what do you need to do to be successful? And that's what the show's all
yeah,
about.
yeah, absolutely. And you talk a lot about helping introverts become more confident to find their confidence. It's not about introverts not being shy. Introverts aren't all shy. They can be confident, and speaking and running workshops is just about confidence. It's about having belief in the value of what you have to share, and certainly, yeah, preparing it well, which even as an extrovert, I wouldn't want to go into a talk or a workshop or anything without any kind of preparation, because that to me also just feels for my own benefit, but also feels a bit disrespectful to the people that have turned up to listen to you.
I think you just said something key that we could apply to this whole conversation. A belief that you have something valuable to share. I think that
Mm,
applies to everything that we've been talking about. And that's where the confidence really comes from.
mm,
You know, if you're giving a speech or you're presenting in a meeting, whatever it is, belief that, you know, if you're putting things out there on social media that you have something valuable,
mm.
that's key to all this.
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes clients will say to me that that's often something that holds them back in social media, particularly. They'll say to me, I haven't got anything of interest to say. Nobody's interested in what I've got to say. So, and that's just not true, because they are really good at the work they do. They've got evidence that the work they do transforms lives or relationships or health or businesses. And it's about helping them believe that they do have value to share. And
Are you back?
yeah, you're back. You
Yeah.
disappeared for a little while. I don't know if it was me or
I'm
you.
sorry. Well, we're almost done here, so
Yeah.
hopefully the internet holds up. So, Kay, is there any, this has been a wonderful conversation. Is there anything else that you want to add today?
I don't think so. I think the main takeaway I would like people to take is that marketing is just a conversation. It's just a conversation between you and the people out there who need your help. And it's about helping them find the help that they're looking for. That's all. It's not a big,
Awesome.
scary, overwhelming beast.
Awesome. I love that. Where can people find out more about you and the great work that you're doing?
LinkedIn, I hang out mostly on LinkedIn. So I'm Kaye, Kaye King Marketing Mentor. I think I'm the only Kaye King Marketing Mentor on LinkedIn. If you go to my profile there and click on links and things in the little link, you will be able to get to a link to my website to sign up for my email list and a couple of free resources and workshops that I might be running. You'll find them all there.
All right. Thanks again, Kay. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I hope you take the time to explore other episodes and learn from other amazing guests. Remember, if you're interested in getting to know yourself better, there is now a free Type Finder personality assessment on the Quiet and Strong website. This free assessment will give you a brief report, including the four-letter Myers-Briggs code. I'll add a link in the show notes. And I'd love to connect with you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or check out the quietandstrong.com website, which includes blog posts and links to social media for Quiet and Strong and much more. Send me topics or guests you would like to see on the show. So many great things about being an introvert, and so we need those to be understood. Get to know your introverted strengths and needs and be strong.